Welcome to the quietest ones in the room with your host, Trey. I gotta say it, just the mere fact that you've clicked onto this video and you're listening to the sound of my voice, you by far are the most intelligent people on the face of the planet. So once again, thank you for joining me. Look, let's jump right into it. The clown of the day, Jerome Powell. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who's this guy named Jerome Powell? Well, Jerome Powell is head of the Federal Reserve. And I'm sure you've heard that Donald Trump has been criticizing and name calling and threatening Jerome Powell. He wants Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. Now, this is on the backdrop of tariffs that are in place, tariffs that were threatened and taken back and pushed forward, and all these different aspects of the trade war, as they're calling it. I don't look at it as much as a trade war anymore, but everybody has their talking points on it, and I don't want to be distracted talking about the trade war. What I do want to talk about is the fact that Jerome Powell is a factor in this current economic condition we are in must be discussed. You may not like Donald Trump. You may like Donald Trump. You may not like Jerome Powell. You may like Jerome Powell. But it needs to be addressed that a Jerome Powell does not lower interest rates. He's a clown. See, we're in a situation where the average American is strapped of cash, of capital. There's no money to spend. Credit cards are getting maxed out. Credit card payments are delinquent and past due. Paychecks haven't risen enough to take care of the day-to-day so that people can get beyond just taking care of the bare necessities of life and get into some forms of luxury. But we have to understand who this all benefits, and then I'll get back to Jerome Powell. The average everyday American having cash and spending money, buying things, this helps the wealthy. During COVID, we saw huge amounts of money get pumped into the system as interest rates were low and quantitative easing took place, meaning money was printed and put into the hands of many average Americans. And lo and behold, as years have passed, that only made the wealthy more wealthy and the have-nots have less over time. Now, some people took advantage and bought a home, bought land, did different things that put them in a better situation today. But I don't want to go that direction either. What I want to say is that Jerome Powell must bail out you and I in the form of lowering interest rates. But that won't be enough to get us through this economic storm as we move forward. Now, some people are saying we're going through an economic collapse. And all that means is this. It means that the wealthy will have their assets, their capital, their businesses, their lifestyles, their luxuries. They'll be fine. But the economy of the regular Joe will become much more difficult as we move forward if Jerome Powell does not cut interest rates. See, because the cutting of interest rates weakens the dollar, makes it more divisible, and therefore your money has more purchasing power. The rich are more willing to loan money to you in the form of a credit card, a mortgage, a car loan, all these different aspects of our day-to-day lives that are important. But if the interest rates stay where they are or they are raised, the wealthy will not come up off their lot. They will not come up off that cash that they have sitting there for them to make money. And so what Trump is really asking Jerome Powell to do, whether you like President Donald Trump or not, he's asking Jerome Powell for a bailout. A bailout that will keep things moving as America regularly does during times of chaos forward. People will have money to spend. So in the short term, it would be a fix. In the long term, it would just cause more inflation because the lowering of interest rates cause assets to rise, like your home, like your car, like all these things that are important to your day-to-day life. So there's a balance here. So, excuse me, while Trump is asking for the bailout, it's not enough just to cut interest rates. There needs to be a systemic shift in the way in which money is flowing in this country for it to change as we move forward. So Jerome Powell can play all the games he wants to play, but if he gets this wrong, he's a clown. Anyone who thinks that he should not cut interest rates doesn't understand how our economy works. We live in a debt-based society. One man's credit, one man's debt. And so we need to cut the interest rates. If we don't do it, it's going to get tougher. And the media is doing an interesting spin on all of this to make it about the name calling and the stock market and China and people pulling away from the economy and the dollar's weakening and all these different things. If you go back and you look at some of the words of Larry Fink in the last couple of months, it's been to the wealthy, hey, pull your money out of the stock market and redistribute it towards assets like real estate, gold, private business. So that shift was already advised because people have seen that the average consumer, the money's drying up. There's not enough money in the pool of people who are heavy spenders for the economy to continue to outperform. And with all this going on around the world regarding what this country wants to charge for products and what this country wants to charge for products, all these things are making it difficult for the average everyday person, which is you and me, to get a foothold on how in the hell we're going to be able to have a sustainable future if the prices keep going up. So we need some relief. So I don't think it's just going to stop with the bailout in terms of just interest rates being cut. I think some cash is coming somehow, some way. You remember during Trump's term, he was a fan of checks being sent to Americans. And we may see that again because the pumping of money to the consumer is a part of the hustle of America to get it into your hand, so you spend it and get it into the wealthy's hands. The wealthy do not get rich off the wealthy. They get rich off of the regular people of this country and around the world. They get wealthy off the backs of the less fortunate. So anyhow, I wanted to say that. I think that needed to be said because there's a lot of talk about Trump calling Jerome Powell a loser. And in fact, Trump is right. If Jerome Powell doesn't do this, he's a loser. And if you don't see him as such, I would question what part of the class structure are you on? Are you already wealthy? Because if you're a regular, average, everyday person, you need some relief right now. You need some relief. So anyhow, please share your thoughts in the comment section. Maybe you think it's a bad idea because, oh, we're so in debt to other people and we've got $30+ trillion debt that we need to resolve, blah, blah, blah. So share your thoughts in the comment section. Maybe you agree with Donald Trump and his actions towards Jerome Powell and his actions altogether as of recent. Maybe you support what the Federal Reserve has been doing. But anyhow, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, until next time.